Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to the Go Beyond podcast. I'm your host with the most, Wambler, and today's episode is going to be very exciting. I know last week's episode was a little bit lackluster. I just wanted to give like a brief introduction to what I was doing, what we were going to be doing in this podcast, and now I'm ready to just dive deeper and really give you guys the full force of my knowledge that I've been kind of acquiring over the last couple of months. Now, if you're new here, please hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, follow the podcast. For those of you who are listening, I am currently recording a video over on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Hawaiian Blur. Please check it out if you want more of a visual aspect of what I'm doing. Otherwise, feel free to stay and listen. I really appreciate it. Now, TLDR for you guys just listening in via Spotify. If you're not watching on YouTube, you're going to miss out on all the videos and all the other things that I'm going to be referencing, discussing this episode. But feel free to just continue listening. I will go into as much detail as I can. And yeah, appreciate you guys. Now, I guess on with the episode. So episode 2, we're going to be diving a little bit deeper into this UFO hearing that occurred on July 26th, 2023. A very historical day, if you ask me. We have had a lot of crazy things going on in the UFO world, but definitely this one topped it all, hands down. We are at the precipice of something historical happening with UFOs, UAPs, extraterrestrials, and everything in that nature. Now, before we dive deeper, I just want to let you guys know where I stand. I think you guys are well aware that I believe in UFOs. I believed in UFOs ever since I was a kid. I was alive during the Phoenix Lights event, so I remember vaguely, not too well, but I vaguely remember seeing everybody looking up in the sky and wondering what the lights were. Now, what's important about this hearing is that this is one of the first of many hearings that should hopefully be taking place over the next course of a few years. Congress has been brought to Congress's attention that the government has been having this UAP cover up over the last 50, 60, 70 years. Who knows? The first record of these things occurring is from the 1930s. Like, that was when the first cover up started happening, and obviously, like, one of the most incredible cover up stories of all time, which is slowly being declassified, is that Roswell crash was real. It actually happened. There was a cover up. They recovered a craft. They recovered bodies of biological evidence. Non-human, by the way, non-human bodies. That's something that we'll get into here shortly. But I think that is where we're kind of at with this currently, is that I know that everybody was hoping that we would get the definitive answer from this hearing, like, oh yes, aliens are real. However, this goes a little bit deeper than that. Like, the whole point of Congress getting behind this is because the fact that there was this entire cover up occurring over the last however many decades, and they are just now finding all of this information out from a whistleblower who found the proof, has been gathering intel information to provide to everybody, so that way Congress can start getting these things declassified and presented to us, the public. Now, I don't think we're going to be getting everything all at once. If we got everything all at once, the entire world would probably collapse on itself, because we're going to hear things that we don't want to hear. We're going to see things that we don't want to see. And that's just like for the general public, you know. For the believers, we want to hear these things, we want to see these things, but there are people out there who, you know, very religious people who have been taught their whole lives that aliens are nothing short of a myth, and that we were created in God's image, and that God didn't create other life anywhere else but here. Now, I'm going to start getting into some of my favorite clips from the hearing. I'm not going to play the full clips, but I'm going to at least play the crucial part of the clip. And then I'm going to I'm going to go into detail about my personal thoughts on the topic that was discussed and what was said. And then I'm hoping in the comment section down below, you guys will also go into detail about what you guys are feeling. But things are happening, guys. Things are happening. Get prepared. We're going deep. We're going beyond. Let's just dive into this, okay? So first and foremost, let's go to the cover-up. So the cover-up, we heard, we've heard that this is happening for years. This is just, here's just like a little bit of a small reaction to the fact that Congress got denied access.
Since the start, we've talked about building this game.
Sorry, there's ads.
Several months ago, my office received a protected disclosure from Eglin Air Force Base indicating that there was a UAP incident that required my attention. I sought a briefing regarding that episode and brought with me Congressman Burchett and Congresswoman Luna. We asked to see any of the evidence that had been taken by flight crew in this endeavor and to observe any radar signature as well as to meet with the flight crew. We were not afforded access to all of the flight crew. And initially, we were not afforded access to images and to radar. Thereafter, we had a bit of a discussion about how authorities flow in the United States of America, and we did see the image. And we did meet with one member of the flight crew who took the image. The image was of something that I am not able to attach to any human capability, either from the United States or from any of our adversaries. And I'm somewhat informed on the matter, having served on the Armed Services Committee for 7 years, having served on the committee that oversees DARPA and advanced technologies for several years. When we spoke with the flight crew, and when he showed us the photo that he'd taken.
So I'm just going to pause right there. For those of you listening, I just played a clip from the hearing in regards to 3 congressional members who are pretty high up in Congress. They were provided intel that there was this Air Force base that had encountered a UAP event recently. And so these 3 Congress members, Matt Gaetz, Tim Burchett, and Congresswoman Luna, I don't remember her full name, sorry, I apologize. But they were allowed access to go to this military base to hear and see the data that was collected by these pilots on the Air Force Base. Now, as soon as they got there, they were denied access immediately. Well, and then these Congress members had to, really push and kind of state, like, hey, that's not how this works. We're part of the oversight committee. If this is a threat to national security, we have a right to know. To which they were then allowed to at least see a photo of the UAP and were able to speak to one pilot, just one of them. Now, if that doesn't worry you about where we're at with this, there's more to this, okay? That is just one instance of where all these people who have seen things, have heard things in the military and Congress, and all of the above in the government. They've seen things, they tried to talk about it, they tried to get access to it, either denied, threatened for their lives, or threatened to lose their jobs. Like, this is a very serious matter. Not to mention, Tim Burchett in this hearing also states that, there's billions of dollars, probably trillions of dollars, that are just going missing through the Pentagon, and it's being marked as special projects, but who knows where it's going. And there's documentation. I don't know if that's part of what Burchett has, or not Burchett, David Grush, but he has documentation showing like, hey, and this is just an example, we need building materials for this weapon that we're designing. We need this hammer. It costs $50. Hammers don't cost $50, guys. Why? The extra money, like, I'm sure they bought the hammer, but then that extra money is allocated towards something else, something that is being kept secret. And that is what David Grush is trying to whistleblow. He's trying to tell the world, and that's what this hearing was about, is that decades of a cover-up, and the fact that the government has this secret program that is going to these UAP crash sites and retrieving materials and living or dead biologics, and they are reverse engineering these things. There are reverse engineered UAPs. Now, they could probably sit here and tell us that, no, we haven't successfully reverse engineered anything and there's nothing out there. But I have heard countless stories from multiple people, including Dr. Stephen Greer, that basically say that's false. We reverse engineered a lot of these things, a lot of the tech, separately as well as together. Stephen Greer, he has stated that we perfected anti-gravity in the 60s, but we're just not using it. Now, that is a whole other aspect of this entire thing, is that if these things are being hidden from us, if these technologies are being hidden from us, that's technology that could revolutionize the world, and yet we don't have access to it. Why? Next, I'm going to play a clip from the hearing. This is David Grush talking about the non-biologics that were found at these crash sites. This is just like confirmation in and of itself that extraterrestrials exist. He doesn't like calling them extraterrestrials or aliens because that puts a definition to where they're coming from, because there are also theories that some of these beings may not be from outer space. So we'll dive into that after this here. And again, sorry, I don't have YouTube Premium, so we're gonna have to deal with watching ads.
Ms. Mays.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning to our witnesses who are testifying today. I want to thank each of you for being here to discuss a topic of grave importance to our national security. Earlier this year, a Chinese spy balloon was shot down off the coast of my home state of South Carolina. Since the Roswell incident in 1947, many Americans have wondered about the dangers of unknown objects crisscrossing our skies. Whether these are UAPs or weather phenomena, advanced technology from American allied or enemy forces, or something more out of this world. So my first question, I have several questions, and if we could just be quick on these first two, I'm going to ask each of you the same question, and then I'll get to each of you individually. The first one, when you reported your experiences with a UAP, did any of you face any repercussions with your superiors, yes or no?
No.
No. I've actually never seen anything personally, believe it or not. So.
All right. And then do you believe there's an active disinformation campaign within our government to deny existence of UAPs, yes or no?
I don't have an answer to that.
As previously stated publicly, yes. I think previously with like Project Blue Book, yes, but currently I don't speak for the United States government.
Okay, thank you. I have a few questions for Mr. Graves. What percentage of UAP sightings, in your belief, go unreported by our pilots?
This is an approximation based off of my.
And sorry, I'm gonna skip some of
That's
this.
just my personal estimate.
After it was reported.
Absolutely.
A few questions for Mr. Favor. As an UAP reports as class experience as a pilot, does our government our pilots?
No, we have test range.
And to prevent lawmakers from having access to this footage?
No, I just think it was ignored when it.
Do you feel are adequately investigated by the U.S. government? Of the 5% that are reported.
I can only speak for my personal leadership over at NGA. I tried to look at every report that came through that I could triage. So,
do you believe that officials at the highest levels of our national security apparatus have unlawfully withheld information from Congress and subverted our oversight authority?
there are certain elected leaders that had more information that I'm not sure what they've shared with certain Gang of Eight members or et cetera, but certainly I would not be surprised.
Okay. You've stated that the government is in possession of potentially non-human spacecraft. Based on your experience and extensive conversations with experts, do you believe our government has made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials?
Something I can't discuss in public setting.
Okay, I can't ask.
Don't get mad at that, guys. Don't get mad at what he's saying.
If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries. Yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
And was this documentary evidence, this video, photos, eyewitness? Like, how would that be determined?
The specific documentation I would have to talk to you in a skiff about.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So, and you may or may not be able to answer my last question, and maybe we get into a skiff at the next hearing.
Okay, so that right there, confirmation. There were non-human biologics discovered at these crash sites upon retrieval from the secret program that the U.S. government created. Or maybe not the U.S. government. We don't know. Just some form of body in the United States that has the authority to go, hey, that crashed. Let's go pick it up. Let's take everything. And let's reverse engineer the crap out of it. Those of you on the podcast, I just showed a video of Congresswoman Miss Mays. She directly asked David Grush, who has stated in his News Nation interview that there were non-human biologics discovered at these crash sites. Something else that was, again, heavily talked about in probably almost every single congressperson's questions to these gentlemen, these three witnesses / whistleblowers, I guess you could call them. She asked him, about the skiff. Now, the skiff is basically, simplest way to describe it is it's literally a soundless room that people can go into and discuss classified information. This information does not leave the room unless there are laws designed to allow that information to be publicly released. So the skiff is literally designed to pass classified information from one person to the other. Now, they were denied a skiff prior to this hearing. Congressman Tim Burchett, he attempted to get in a skiff with David Grush, but he was denied. We don't know why it was denied, other than, potentially David Grush's lawyer might have said, like, hey, it's not a good idea at this time. Whoops, sorry, didn't mean to hit that. But that is just kind of all the information we can gather at this time. By the way, something on my board here that I wanted to show you guys. One of the men down there, his last name is Graves, I believe. He is known for a 2004 Tic Tac video. I will show that here shortly, but I have a picture of it right here. This board is going to be utilized to pin up pertinent information to the chapters that we're focusing on. So for you guys watching on YouTube, that's what you're gonna be seeing me hang up over time on the podcast here. But let's go ahead and continue on with the rest of these different videos. So as you're seeing here, one of the frustrating things that you're going to keep hearing that we heard throughout the hearing, that I got a little bit frustrated, I'm not going to lie, but at the same time, I feel like this hearing wasn't about revealing everything. It was about getting our feet in the door to get everything revealed. This isn't going to be a very fast process, and I know there are going to be people out there that are like, hey, where are the aliens? Well, we're trying, guys. They're trying. Which is I'm hoping in another podcast episode we can discuss Dr. Stephen Greer, who is basically trying to circumvent what we're doing here. Like, he's for what's happening here because he thinks that the cover-up needs to end, but he has figured out a way to circumvent this type of government stuff because it's just a trickle effect, and he has figured out how to actually create or make these events occur in our lives. Like, he has figured out a way to have the UAPs, extraterrestrials, come into contact with us in a peaceful manner, not through military, not through government, but in like just a social interaction, which I feel like should be the natural way of this. But I feel like our people, our race, our human race is literally shoot first, ask questions later. That's how we've always been, and it kind of sucks that that's how the extraterrestrials have had to see us over this period of time. On to one of my other favorite clips. I saved a couple of videos here. I'm only going to go through a few of them. Here's AOC. She's probably one of my favorite Congress people. And I was actually very shocked to see that she was there, but that just shows you how serious they're taking this. And here.
Ms. Ocasio-Cortez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to our witnesses for.
And this is just more
I do concur
data
with the ranking member as well as
about
other members here on this committee that this
how,
is a committee for whistleblowers and for the protection of whistleblowers as
like,
well. So we understand what you're putting
how
on the table here,
much
putting on the line here, and we thank
they
you.
have
Mr. Grush,
controlled
the unidentified
Congress
anomalous
and
phenomenon
us.
task force created in the 2020 NDAA, correct?
Yes.
There have been some things that that have been mentioned here during this hearing that I wanted to pick up on. Mr. Graves, you mentioned specifically during the answers to one of your questions, you named Boeing contractors being engaged in an incident regarding this red cube about a football.
Sorry, Graves is not the Tic
field.
Tac video.
Right. I was wondering if you could speak a little bit about the interaction, or Mr. Grush, either of you, the interactions between defense contractor companies and any UAP-related programs or activities.
So I'll just say that the information about the contractor himself were provided by a witness, and I have no particular detail in that relationship.
Mr. Grush.
The kind of general unclassed wave tops, certainly the contractors, are the metal benders, so to speak. They're the ones actually doing specific performance on government contracts.
Are they required to issue any disclosure regarding UAP sightings, or do they engage in any reporting around this?
In terms of the contractors,
Yes.
not that I'm aware of.
They do not. Okay. Now,
So in case you guys didn't really understand what that was, and for you guys listening on the Spotify, she just asked David Grush about contractors, Boeing. Trying to think of Boeing's the only aerospace contracting company that I can really think of off the top of my head. There's a couple more. One in particular has been very heavily talked about having the projects to reverse engineer these things, but I won't go into details about that because the reverse engineering stuff is not what's important to me. What's important to me is that we've found this out. We figured this out, and now it's time to reveal as much as we can and try to navigate us in a more peaceful direction, not a military direction. But basically, these contractors receive a project from the military, the US military, and they're like, hey, we have this thing, can you reverse engineer it? That's basically it. These contractors sign NDAs, so they can't talk about what they're working on, and then it's just kind of goes from there. The interesting thing about what AOC asks towards the end, which I'm hoping I can find here,
have cognizant authority over the Air Force or something, and those are congressionally reported compartments, but IRAD is literally internal to the contractor, so as long as it's money, either profits, private investment, et cetera, they can do whatever they want.
To put a finer point on it, when there is a requirement for any agency or company to notify, or any agency to notify Congress, do they contact the chairman of a committee? Do they get them on the phone specifically? Is this through an email to hypothetically a dead email box?
A lot of it comes through what they call the PPR, Periodic Program Review process. If it's a,
in the fact he knows what everything's called. He knows what it's called.
Go to the specific committees, whether it be
the fact that people are saying that he's lying is crazy.
I
to me.
apologize. I just, my time is limited. Mr. Graves, one of your main concerns is that the FAA currently does not have an official process to receive reports of UAP from pilots or others, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and that was another thing that they're trying to work on as well, is creating a program for pilots, for not just military pilots, but commercial pilots, to report UAP events that they witness to this area, so that way that it can be investigated further. Right now, there is no program. There is nothing for them to report to. There was this secret program that was revealed in 2017 that by Lou Elizondo, which we'll talk about later at a different time, but he was the head of a program in the Pentagon that they were supposed to be able to do these things to. Like, they were supposed to be able to locate these UAPs and report it and say, like, hey, this thing was over our country doing something. What do we do about it? We can't chase after it. It's too fast. It can go from 0 to Mach 2 in 6 seconds. So the issue is that anytime those things were reported, they said, okay, thank you, next. They didn't take it, at least to us, they didn't take it seriously, but they could have taken that and gone hey, this UAP was found. Maybe it'll crash. Maybe we should shoot at it. Maybe we should do whatever. Whatever floats your boat. But basically, at the end of this, which I'm hoping I can skip to, I believe AOC asks David Grush to meet in a skiff to discuss.
For the record, if you were me, where would you look?
Here it is.
Titles, programs, departments, regions, if you could just name anything. And I put that as an open question to the three of you.
I'd be happy to give you that in a closed environment. I can tell you specifically.
Thank you. Commander Fravor?
I would say...
Now, for those of you listening on the podcast, AOC just asked David Grush if she wanted to find that information, if she wanted to find the details, who to contact in order to discuss these matters, who could she find? And David Grush revealed, he's like, if we meet in an enclosed environment, I can give you very specific details, names, dates, all that good stuff. So David Grush is literally by far, there have been other whistleblowers, I'm sure, and there are other whistleblowers that are gathering right now. I think the hardest thing was they're scared, this is their lives. They've been threatened with taking away their livelihood, their personal lives, their families have been threatened. These men are scared. David Grush himself, he can't go into detail, but his life has been threatened. He is scared for himself and his family. I just have one more clip that I wanted to show you guys. This is probably one of my other favorite people in the UFO field, or I should say extraterrestrial field. James Fox. He's a he's an amazing documentary director, and he has done a lot for this field in regards to documenting, investigating, and collaborating a lot of these eyewitness accounts. I just we call it UFO Twitter. I'm on there constantly reading, seeing videos, trying to determine what's real, what's fake. And he has made people aware that there is something coming up in the next few months. From what I do understand, it's this big, huge documentary that he's been working on the past few years, and it's big. It's gonna be big, and once it's released, I will definitely purchase it, and I will try to maybe record a reaction to it and get up on the podcast here. But so this final clip I was going to show is from James Fox. He was on Logan Paul's Impulsive podcast 2 years ago. I've seen this already, but I was just kind of rewatching a lot of these things. And for you guys on Spotify, it's Impulsive episode 262 if you guys want to find that on Spotify or located on YouTube to watch it. But we're gonna just react to Mike Malek's comments, because I feel like what he says here is very pertinent to like what we're dealing with right now, and like kind of like my thoughts about the whole thing too. So I'll pull that up here really quick. And again, ads, guys, I'm sorry.
Getting some sort of extraterrestrial ET material identified. What was it? It was material.
They have to provide an intelligence briefing that's going to be made public to Congress. And that was part of the COVID relief bill that Trump signed.
That was it.
Yes.
It was like nestled
Yes,
way
nestled
deep
in there,
inside
nestled in there,
It was like, by
nestled
the
in
way,
there.
like, COVID,
Yes.
here's what's going on. By the way, in
Yes.
108 days, we're going to tell you about aliens in the material.
Yes, I know. But there are people that want this out. I'm telling you right now, there are people within government that feel that, although it's a little scary to some, to me, I feel like, hey, reality is reality, whether we're aware of it or not. And I think that everybody, man, woman, and child, has the right to know about what's going on.
Do we?
I think so.
No. I mean. So
Okay, this is Mike
what
Malek.
kind of right? Now, I asked this, like a moral right, an ethical right, a civil right. What right exactly is it that we have to know the highest levels of government intelligence?
Okay, so for those of you listening on the on Spotify, Impulsive episode 262, James Fox reveals most compelling alien evidence ever. Mike asks a very important question. He asks, or James Fox says, I believe that we have the right to know, that every man, woman, and child has the right to know. And then Mike asks the question, do we have the right to know? Are we even supposed to know this stuff? Should we know? Can we handle it? Now, I think where Mike's coming from is from that perspective of, if just the average person finds out about this, they're either not going to believe it or they're going to lose their mind. But I think I'm going to say this and then I'll keep playing the clip, but I don't think it's a government, like, we don't have the right to know based off of government clearance or classified evidence or things like that. We have a right to know because this affects our lives. We have a right to know because this doesn't have to, like, if these things could exponentially make our lives easier, if it could get rid of climate change, if it can get rid of poverty, if it can get rid of famine, all these different things, which I'm hearing that we can do all those things. based off of the reverse engineering technology that we've been doing for the past 100 years with this alien technology, then yes, we have a right to know. We have a right to that information. The government didn't have the right to take it in the first place. You know, if the aliens, like, who know, like, they could have provided that to us on purpose. The aliens could be like, hey, here's the tech, use this. Like, you guys could use this. And then the government was like, no, we're just gonna keep that away from everybody and use it for ourselves. That stuff should be free IP for whoever and wherever to utilize and create stuff from scratch. That's my opinion anyways. I don't think that the government has any say in universal activities. Like, that is beyond the scope of what our government should be handling. Like, yes, our country, like, if it's a matter of national security, then yeah, I think the government does have the right to do certain things. But on the aspect of our entire world, our universe, no. If it's a universal natural effect or thing that we can utilize to better our lives, they do not have a right to keep that from us. Let me continue with the clip.
You know, this is a question I'm asking.
Well, look at it this way.
That's what I'm asking.
If there is tangible evidence that would suggest we're not alone, being withheld from the general public, I feel that's unconscionable. I mean, whether it's a little scary or not, I feel like it's information that we're all should be entitled to. I really do. I believe that. I would love to see my 6-year-old son grow up with this not being a secret, with this not being covered up, with this. I think it would force the human race, and I sound a little wiggy here, but I'm serious, to see ourselves for who we really are. And that's one race, one planet. I really believe that. I really do.
I love that.
And I think that we're all entitled. And it's one of those topics that transcends religion. It transcends politics. We're living in incredibly divided times right now. And this is something we can all get behind and agree with, that, hey, man, this is fascinating, and this pertains to all of us.
But I've never heard it put in that way before, because it's a very utopian outlook on why we should know about aliens.
I'm going to end that clip here, but that just, I mean, I feel like that's the idea, right? That we can get behind all this. Everybody is unified in the sense that if this is true, which 99.9% leaning towards it's true, then we should get behind it. We should be unified behind it. I just hope, and this is just from me personally, I know there's other people out there who would agree, I don't want it to be in a negative aspect. We don't know why they're here. Some of us might think we know why they're here. The government is going to tell you why they think they're here. The military is going to tell us why they think they're here. In my opinion, they're probably thinking it's in a negative manner. But there are people out there like Stephen Greer, James Fox, those people who they want to get to the bottom of it. They want to know the truth. And from their perspective, these things aren't here to hurt us. If they were here to hurt us, we would already be hurt. Now, some of you are probably going to be like, well, they have hurt us. We're being abducted. Who's to say that that's them? You know, if this has been covered, if this is a cover up and these are things that are happening that the government wanted to keep secret, that the government wants control of, the one thing that the government knows to do, that the military knows to do, is that in order to control the people, you strike fear in them. And I'm going to leave you guys with this little tidbit that I've been kind of trying to look into since I heard Stephen Greer talk about it. But fear is a very powerful tool. And the government knows this, the military knows this. So what better way to manipulate and control your citizens than to make you fear something that you don't know? So it is my personal opinion and the opinion of other people that it's the UFOs that abduct people are not extraterrestrials or aliens. They're us. We are abducting people and doing these experiments. And we make it look alien to strike fear into people. the cover up is real. It's happening. It's still happening. But I'm hoping that with the push of these Congress people who are truly wanting to know, with the push of people like James Fox, Stephen Greer, Tom DeLonge, Tim Burchett, our congressman from Texas, AOC from New York. Like, I'm hoping all these people can group together and finally get the truth. But I hope that the truth doesn't unify us in a way where we're like, shoot first, ask question later. The truth needs to set us free, and we need to peacefully find a way to meet these beings and communicate with them so that we can advance beyond what we're currently at in our society. Because I do think that we've had this huge exponential growth, and now we've just stopped. And I do believe that it's the government / military's fault. They've halted our continuation to evolve and grow. It's time to let us go. It's time to free us and let us continue to grow. And I believe that with these extraterrestrials' help, we can finally expand and grow and evolve. My name's Weimler. Thank you guys for tuning into this episode of Go Beyond. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're over on YouTube, on Spotify. Please share it with your friends. I really appreciate it. I will see you guys next Wednesday at 7 p.m. MT PT. I believe that's 10 p.m. East Coast time. Next episode will be about close encounters of the first through fifth kind, and a very famous ranch out in Utah that has a lot of paranormal activity, including UFOs and things of that nature. Anyways, I'm Addison. Peace out, guys. Have a great evening, and go beyond.